What's up, everybody? Welcome to NWA Nurses with Attitude. Leanne and I want to throw a quick shout out to the listeners. Thanks for tuning in. We appreciate your support episode after episode, and we hope you guys enjoy this content as much as we love making it. If you guys want, go check us out on our social, Nurses with Attitude on Instagram. That's where you'll find all the updates you need, and also shoot us a message if you want. Enjoy the episode, guys.
Hey,
Hey,
what's going on,
back.
Leanne? We're back.
How was your day at work?
What's up, everybody? My day at work is done. I'm pumped. I'm excited to record.
I know, I actually enjoy recording during the week. Like it kind of gives me something to look forward to at the end of the day. Like just dealing with some of the things at work it can be a lot. And
Exhausting. Yeah.
yeah, and like today trying to figure out scope of practice, like all this shit. Oh my God, Joe, I can't find a concrete answer for anything, and it's a little frustrating. And like, I like to podcast, like unwind,
Yeah.
it's good. I'm
And
excited for today's episode.
it's so hard when you work in multiple provinces because like everything, there's not like a clear-cut answer. It's like, is it in my scope to do this? It's like, yes, if you have like three dwarfs next to you and like you like have a piece of clover, but like it's not if you don't have that. Like there's a lot of like different things that's just like, and you go from province to province, as you guys probably know, healthcare is provincial. And
Mm-hmm.
scopes change, like I'm
Yeah.
in Nunavut, so I have a little bit of an extended scope of practice, outlined by Alberta, of course. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's just a lot.
And I feel like, Joe, there's such a difference between long-term care nursing and community nursing. Like the things that we delegate to healthcare aides in the community is way more vast than we do in long-term care. And like this is why I'm struggling, because it's a different environment than I'm used to. And coming from
Yeah.
Ontario, for this specific task or whatever that I'm trying to figure out, like you say, there's no concrete answer. It's so frustrating. Like the CLPNA doesn't have anything on the info I'm trying to find. And it's just like, it's just been one of those days, it's a Monday. It is what it is.
Right. You're trying to
Oh,
find it out,
well.
and it's like, are you a Libra, Capricorn, or Virgo? If you are, you can do that skill. But if you're not,
Yo,
if you're a
seriously
Scorpio,
though,
100% cannot do that skill.
that's so
Like,
funny. Yo, it's true though. There's no like, I don't know. I feel like half of the, and I feel like most nurses can attest to this too. Like if you've recently graduated, the discussion of scope of practice only really happens in school and then for your like jurisprudence exam, but in Ontario at least. But then after that, like the CLPNA or like the CNO of Ontario, like the document for scope of practice is so broad and it doesn't include
mm-hmm.
everything. And
No.
the nursing scope in Alberta has recently been expanded. I believe that happened last year. Um,
Yes. A year or two ago, yeah.
yeah, Joe, it's so funny because I was on the CLPNA website and I came across the article of how the scope of LPNs has expanded, and all the comments underneath, people are so savage. People are like, "Oh, okay, so you're just going to give me more work and I'm more like I can do more tasks like an RN, but you're not going to pay me more?" You should see the comments,
Mic drop.
savage.
Honestly, yo, like we're all thinking that though. Like it is, and like, hey, RNs are great. I'm not shitting on RNs right now, but we do a lot of the same stuff as RNs, and the pay is
Yeah.
very notable. Like it's a
Yeah.
huge difference actually. Like I'm talking. I was at a place like RN or RPNs or LPNs, practical nurses. They capped out at 29. I knew
Yeah.
RNs working there who were making like almost $50 an hour,
Yeah, I
and we
know.
had the same exact job. Like it
Right.
was, man, that's crazy.
Well, this
I
is
think
why I'm
eventually
going.
they're gonna merge it. I think they're gonna merge them. And you know what, Leanne? If it's our luck, right as soon as we become
Yo,
RNs, they're gonna be
don't
like, oh,
say
we're
it.
gonna merge it.
Don't even say that. Oh my God. I was just gonna say that, like, that's the reason I'm doing my RN. Honestly, is because the pay gap is unbelievable. Like, I just
hmm
it's like an extra $25 an hour
Yep.
in some
Yep.
cases.
And if you love nursing, and like I highly recommend, like, just go all the way, do your RN, do
Yeah,
your masters if you can.
just do it.
But
Yeah,
also, like, we're not gonna hide the fact that, yeah, money in today's society, like, that matters. Like, you need money, right? Like,
yeah.
it's
We've
just
definitely we talked
um
about that too in like other episodes. I think our economics of nursing, we touched on that. Like realistically at
yes,
the
go
end of the
check that
day,
episode out, guys.
yeah, we obviously care for our patients, but we also have to afford to live.
Yep.
So, it's just I don't know. Anyway, end of rant. Joe, what are we talking about today?
We're talking about something that has nothing to do with what we were just talking about. Like,
I like to
we're
touch
talking
base at the
about,
beginning. A
yeah,
little
just tell us how we're pissed, how
little
we're cynical at the nursing world.
a little catch up every beginning of every episode. It's all good.
Today we're talking about how you can get ripped with breast milk. Okay, and this is based off the Unwell series on Netflix. We spoke about a few subjects already, and the actual episode is called "Bulking with Breast Milk." Um, yeah, and it's just a crazy. But Leanne, do you want to kick us off with, like, kind of like what it is, what that episode's about, and a quick overview of your opinions?
Yeah, so first off, I want to preface this by saying that it's been over like a week and a half now since I've seen this episode. So, I'm just gonna try to like recall from my memory. I couldn't bring myself to watch it again. Like something about this show, like I guess I'll just put this out there. I guess as a woman, like the thought of a random man drinking another woman's breast milk for like gym gains
It's
is
gross. It's
yeah.
disgusting.
Yeah, it doesn't really sit well with me, and it's so funny because like we said in the previous episode about essential oils, this episode has the same format, so it's very non-biased. They have people who, say that they're benefiting from it, and then they have other people like who basically like scientists who have tested breast milk and say that it's not actually it doesn't hold the nutrients that it does for baby like past a certain point and blah blah. We'll get into it, but overall
Yeah.
I think it's like fucking weird. Like
I agree. There
weird.
was one part of the episode where I was like, "That's interesting," and it was when a man who had he had colon cancer, and he started drinking breast milk because they did studies on it, and his colon cancer, like, in this, I think he was, or something,
Yeah.
he did treatments, nothing was working, and then he drank breast milk and it worked, and he stopped drinking breast milk for one period of time, and the cancer actually came back. So he didn't go back and do any radiation or anything. He just started drinking the breast milk again, and it dissipated again. So that's one part where I was like, I think they need to do more research, but that was one little part of the episode. The rest of it was just really fucking weird. Like, there's no proof that breast milk actually has the amount of proteins that, like, they say that's in there. Also, a good point they make is it's specific to the baby. Like Leanne said, like, that is your child drinking your breast milk, and it's intended for that use. Um,
Yeah.
but, like, people take it because they think that it's gonna get them ripped, and I honestly think it's gross. I
Yeah.
would not want to drink a random person's breast milk. That said, when my wife gets pregnant, I'm gonna, like, taste it a little bit. You know what I mean? And, like, I don't care if
You're
people
so
think I'm
weird.
weird.
This
I
is so
see,
weird.
and I'm not saying I'm gonna bulk on it. I'm saying that I'm just interested. I'm just, like, it's like fear factor. It's fear factor, Leanne. It's like, oh, like, hold my beer. I'm gonna fucking do that.
Yo,
Would
don't
I
even lie.
would I have a cup of it? Absolutely not. I'm talking like some on the thumb. You know what I mean? Slow squirt.
Joe's gonna be rolling into work with his little breast milk protein shake every morning.
Disgusting. Disgusting.
Yo,
But
oh my
honestly,
gosh.
I know, like, for other men out there, if you're saying, "Oh, that's gross, I'm not gonna do that," just wait till your wife gets pregnant, bro. Like, it's a total, like, impulse move, and, like, I'm like, I don't know. I know a lot of guys who said, yeah, like, I tasted it, right? But in
It's a
context of drinking it like that, like, I think that's gross. And
so it's just a
yeah.
curiosity thing, right? Like you just are you
It's just a
curious?
curiosity thing. And you know
Okay.
what, Leanne? Like only my wife, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
even at that, like I'm saying here, I'm like, oh, I'll taste it. I still get a little like grossed out, but that's just because I'm a very impulsive person. Like I love trying new things and
Yeah.
you know, like so that's just my impulsiveness. But hey, maybe when it comes around, I'll be like, nah, screw that. Like that's really gross.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, just a curiosity thing, not like because if you look at the concept, it just doesn't make sense. Like this guy in the episode, he was buying milk off this random lady who she messaged him on Facebook.
Yeah, it's like it's essentially Facebook Marketplace, like selling breast milk on Facebook Marketplace. And like, yo, the episode's so awkward. Again, guys, if you have not seen Unwell, this like documentary series, it's just mind-blowing. So basically, like Joe said, this guy messaged this gal on Facebook and was basically asked if she was still selling breast milk. And then they awkwardly meet in a restaurant.
Oh
And
my
it's like,
gosh.
yo, it's so awkward. They sit down at the table and she like opens the cooler and like just starts pulling
Oh.
out these like bags of breast milk. And the guy's like, oh, like
And then
I'll just what did he say? I'll put it in the
he
microwave or something. I don't
yeah, well,
know.
he looked at her and he's like, do you got the boob juice?
Yeah.
Like what
Yo,
the
it's
hell?
so
and
awkward.
and she literally just looked at him like when he said that, she just like the camera like zoomed in on her face and she was just staring at him like, what the fuck did you just say to me? It
It's
was
so much.
bad. It
This
was bad.
episode just too much. And not to
And then
mention,
he was
Joe,
like,
like
I'm gonna throw it in the microwave. And she's like, no,
yeah,
you won't. Like, you
yeah,
don't do that. He's like, oh, okay. Like, this guy was clueless.
yeah, she's like, "How dare you do that?" Um, but then not to mention, Joe, that this guy's girlfriend was like, "Yeah, I totally support it. Like, whatever he wants to do, if it gets him more results in the gym, like, okay." I think I'd be pretty thrown off if Ben was drinking some other lady's titty milk. Like,
It's just weird.
it's
She's as
fucking
much at
weird,
fault
man.
right now. Like, honestly, if I ever did come on with that, I wish Jelena would put a beat down on my ass. Like, if I ever said that, like, she'd be like, the hell you are. Like, the hell? Like,
Oh my
fuck.
god. So,
And I think there's a lot more with that guy. Like he was talking, didn't look like he had a job or anything, but he was talking about being his kids' heroes because he was working out at the gym. And like, there's
yeah,
not, I'm not gonna get in the subject of like hating on people for that. Like, there's nothing wrong for that, but I just don't like you
just
can be a hero in your kid's life without drinking like breast milk and like going to the gym like all the time.
right? Just be present for them. That's all they want, you know?
E- Exactly, right? And
I
like it
don't
comes to
know.
the point like are you spending like excessive amounts at the gym and it's taken away from time? That said, I'm not
Right.
questioning anybody's like take on life. Hey, if you want to do that, but that's just like my critical thinking right away. I was like, this doesn't make sense because he was saying he does the breast milk so he can get big for his kids. And I was like, I just don't
Right.
see that being a direct correlation how big your biceps are to how much you love your kids.
Yeah. Yeah, I
That's just my
agree.
thought.
It definitely like threw me off when I was watching it. And I think it's a part of the way that it's filmed. Like some of these people are so fucking awkward. Like, and it jumps from person to person. So, in addition to this one random guy who's like bulking for breast milk, there's that other guy that Joe mentioned with the cancer. And he's been
Yeah.
drinking it for like 30 years. And he actually buys it from like
The
a bank.
hospital.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like a donation bank. And my problem is that like I know that they do discuss in detail during the episode of how um it's certain scientists have done studies and it's shown that you know the breast milk doesn't really benefit adults. It's more for mom and baby specifically, like it's their formula, like
Yep.
specifically made from mom for that baby. However, like in the event of adoption, things like that, there are donation banks. But this guy was buying like breast milk from these donation banks, and they're saying in the episode that they don't get enough donations to support mothers, like in NICUs and all this, but they
Yeah.
let random folks off the street just like buy this shit. Like, what? I don't know. The
Yeah.
whole episode's like all over the place, honestly.
I actually really like that, Leanne, because they did point out something very important. To like, there might be all like these other uses to breast milk. Like, let's say like you did, if you like, you could get super jacked with it. So you have bodybuilders buying this breast milk, but then within this whole time, there's an epidemic of kids in in the NICU, like in the neonatal intensive care unit, their mothers can't produce milk for them, and they need the milk to survive. They can only drink that, like that's meant for them.
Hmm.
And it's kind of selfish if you think about it, because they were saying there's this huge shortage in the world right now of breast milk for these babies. That baby doesn't have an option. Like that baby can't go eat a cheeseburger. You know, like you can eat, like
Right.
go eat baconators every day. You'll get ripped. Like that's a lot of protein in a baconator. Like why are you taking the breast milk from a mom, like from like a little baby,
Yeah,
right? Like go eat a baconator, bro.
and then not to
Jeez.
mention like the formula shortage too that happened in the States. Like formula is always an option, but the in the episode, I mean, I don't have any like nursing knowledge when it comes to NICU babies, totally not my thing. Um, so I'd be curious to hear from a nurse or someone who works with within like a newborn baby unit or NICU or whatever. But they would prefer babies to be on breast milk because of the antibodies and all of that compared to formula. And I don't know if you heard about this, Joe, but there was a huge formula shortage in the States. And
Yeah, I did hear about that.
yeah, and I don't know what happened. I'm obviously not a mom. It didn't affect me in any way, but I don't know if it came down to manufacturing, but the fact that these like donation banks are still allowing people to purchase, that's strange to me when
Yeah.
they were saying like they only get 5,000 liters donated or whatever, but they need 8,000 a year. It's like, okay, but you're selling off your product to some random like 65-year-old man.
Yeah. And you know, like in that sense too, like he was using it for like health purposes. So there's a little bit of leeway, like in my mind at least. Like I'm like, yeah, like it's cool because he's using it for that purpose, but still, yeah, like they seemed pretty nonchalant. Like if someone called me up and I was the director and they're like, hey, can I buy your breast milk? I'd be like, hell to the nah.
Like, pardon me,
Like
sir.
this, right? Like, but yeah, there it is super interesting. And like babies up to usually 6 months, all they eat is like breast milk or formula too. So that's all they can eat, you know? Like we
Hmm.
have to be mindful of that. And yeah, I
Yeah.
really like that one lady in the episode. She literally said, she's like, it doesn't even matter. She's like, the discussion on the benefits of breast milk for adults, she's like, it's completely irrelevant because there's a shortage. That's what we should be focusing on. Like, she's like, it shouldn't be on topic right now that we're even talking about what it can be used for. She's like, we know 100% that it can be used for babies, but we're still giving it to other people. She's like,
Right.
why? Like, we like just stop it. Like, give it to the damn babies. Um,
Yeah, and the
yeah,
scientist lady, I don't know what she does, but I don't know, Joe, some lady in a white coat in the episode. Again, it's been over a week and a half since I've seen this, but she was saying how they have studied breast milk and how the formulas do differ from mom to mom based on baby's like needs, but then
yeah.
also, well, not to mention like mom's diet and all these things play a role in mom's breast milk, but then not to mention she was saying that if the breast milk isn't stored properly, you know, they found like all of these microbes and diseases even within breast milk. Like I'm
Mm-hmm.
pretty sure it was like hep A, don't quote me on this, but hep A,
Oh,
herpes, something can be transmitted through HIV, I'm
yeah,
pretty sure. Yeah, through the
because there
breast
was
milk.
there was breast milk. I think that specific one is she was talking about buying breast milk online, and they bought breast milk online, and they said most of the like quote unquote breast milk that they bought, it was actually cow milk. They said 90% of it was actually cow milk, and then the other
Oh,
10% had diseases like HIV, like all these other diseases, and it was like diluted like with formula and like more cow milk. And yeah, like there's just people online selling like breast milk, but saying sorry, they're saying it's breast milk, but in reality, it's not breast milk. And plus, these women, I
cow
guess,
milk.
aren't getting tested for like HIV either, so you can transmit diseases through that.
Yeah, and that was like really eye-opening to me. That's something I
Uh,
never even considered, honestly, really, but it's a bodily fluid. So,
yeah,
of
well,
course.
it's literally coming from your boobs. Like I don't
Yeah.
like. I think it's so like I'm not trying to be rude, but I just think it's gross. I don't like the idea of it. And in the episode when I saw him drinking the milk, Leanne, it was kind of like when I was watching the essential oil episode and seeing that girl pour essential oils down her throat. I was like, ugh,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. I
Yo,
agree.
do you actually want to hear a funny story?
Oh, yeah, of course.
I used to, gosh, I don't even know if I should say this, but I used to work. Well, actually, I wasn't working, so I won't even mention that. But I was at my cousin's house, and I didn't know, but my aunt had her breast milk on one shelf, and she had the normal milk on the other shelf. And my cousins, they needed like they were like, oh, well, like want some milk. So I'm like, okay. So I grabbed one and I poured them a glass and I gave it to him, and he started drinking it. And he's like, this milk tastes funny, and I'm like, oh, I don't know. I just grabbed this milk, and I didn't realize it said mom's milk on it, and I was
Oh
like,
my
oh no.
god.
So I told him, and he's drinking the milk, and I'm like, I just gave you your mom's milk by accident. And this kid, he must have been, I think he was like 7 years old. Leanne, this kid, he freaking spat the milk everywhere. He was not okay that he just drank his mom's milk. He thought it was the grossest thing ever.
At
Um,
7 years old,
he
like,
was
this is
he
the
was
thing.
he was 7, and like the reason why there was even milk there is because she had just had like my other cousin was born.
Yeah.
But at 7 he was like, this is, and he could tell, he's like, this milk doesn't taste like my 2% milk, you know. And
Ew.
then, man, I was laughing so hard I fell on
Oh
the
my
ground, and
gosh.
he was like, I hate you. He's like, why don't you read? I'm like, oh shit.
That's
Oh, it's so
awesome.
funny.
That's
It was so funny.
hilarious. Oh my
Oh, I
gosh.
loved it.
Um, I don't think I know that we wanted to also discuss the fasting episode.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
I think we can combine them into one. Like, I don't really think we have anything else to mention about the breast milk episode. Like, just don't do
I
it.
have nothing else to say.
Just
Yeah.
don't do
I feel like we were just saying the same
it.
thing for the last 15 minutes. You were like, it's weird, it's gross.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, just don't
Okay,
do it.
so, give a recap then
Fasting.
of the fasting. Yeah, the water fasting.
So essentially they were looking at, the health benefits of fasting. And this episode, it focused on mainly water fasting, so not drink or not eating anything except for drinking water. Um you can go a long time. I think like you can go months without food. But if you have water, then your body will still, function. So there's benefits to this. I could see a little bit of it. It makes sense, like whenever you say it, but the reason, like, they kind of, the people who are all about it on the episode, to them it makes sense because it's like the best thing in the world. But for example, this one lady, she was doing this water fast. She had type 2 diabetes, she was obese, she did a 30-day fast, or like a
Mhm,
32-day fast.
mhm.
And they were so surprised whenever they looked at her blood sugars, and her blood sugars went down. They were so surprised that she lost weight. And in my pit, like, it's almost like a, like, yeah, no shit, like there's a lot of
Yeah.
other things that can go wrong, like with fasting, first of all. So I don't agree to fasting for like more than like 12 hours at a time. You
Mhm.
increase your risk for gallstones, you increase your risk for uh stomach and intestinal diseases. It's just you screw up your balance in your system as well. Plus you could faint, you could really hurt yourself. Like, your body needs energy. Like, if you're working throughout the day and you have a physical a high demand job,
Mhm.
it's super dangerous. And they were looking at the aspects, oh, it's so healthy. And it's almost one of those things that I don't disagree with it, because it makes sense. If, yeah, you didn't fast for 30 days, of course your blood sugars are going to be down. Of course you're going to lose weight. But is it sustainable? Is that healthy for you? Like,
Yeah.
no, we know a very healthy way. If you have type 2 diabetes, exercise 30 minutes a day, use resistant activities, use weights, get the heart rate up. Also, eating a healthy diet, add more fiber to your diet, add more veggies, those are high in fiber. add
Mhm.
higher proteins, less starchy foods. If you implement this, you could get the same results in a longer amount of time, but it will also last a lot longer, and it's
Yeah.
healthier for you rather
Mhm.
than doing this water fast. So that's kind of my opinion on like on water fasting in general. The episode, you have your same people who are kind of like into that voodoo
Yeah.
kind of way of doing things. What do you think, Leanne?
Um, I think it's important to mention that the lady that Joe's talking about with the diabetes, she went to a facility that specializes in water fasting. So, like throughout this 30-day fast, she's not just like in her home not eating anything. She's staying in a facility and they're monitoring her and they have like doctors and things watching her. But in the episode also, they talk about they talk to this wife, and the wife, her husband, went to the same facility to do a fast.
I
And
think I think it was a different facility. It was one in Puerto Rico
oh, was it
or the
different?
Dominican.
Okay, either way,
Yeah,
to
yeah, it
to
was a different one.
another facility, either way, where he would have been monitored and whatever. And he was there for a couple days and then he started acting funny. And so basically he asked to leave. And so the site manager or whoever oversees the site let this man go and stay in a hotel, and he fell and hit his head and died in the hotel that night when he should have been under the supervision of the site during this fast. And so I definitely agree, Joe, when you say that like there's definitely some negative sides to fasting. I personally I don't fast. I never have. I don't really have an opinion because I haven't really looked into it all that much. I just believe in, diet, exercise, trying to have a wholesome diet, a little bit of everything in moderation. That's kind of how
Yeah.
I live my life. Um, but yeah, again, this episode has like very non-biased both sides to things. And so like Joe was saying, this one lady was like, yeah, I lost like 20 pounds and my blood sugar's down. And then at the end of her fasting, they like wean her back onto food. But that's not to say that this lady's not going to go home and eat a whole fucking bag of potato chips. Like,
Exactly.
it's not a long term thing. It's not,
It's part of the society that wants the quick fix, and the quick fix always
yeah,
isn't the lasting and healthy fix.
right. And losing weight is not hard. Or, sorry, is not easy. It's very hard. And especially
Yeah.
as you get older, everything starts to slow down, and if you're at that point, I think the lady might have been like late 40s 50s maybe,
Yeah.
just ballpark. She's probably gone through menopause if she's at that stage in life, and that makes it more difficult to lose weight. And so I can understand why people are like, I've tried everything. Okay, but doing something for a month isn't enough. It has to be a long-term thing. And I don't know, Joe, I just feel like this episode in particular is like really misleading because I felt like this episode compared to the others, like the essential oils or the breast milk one, was very pro fasting. I don't know. Did you feel that way?
It,
I
I felt like the only thing that they really went against was like doing it at like the facility that person was at. But yeah, they spoke about. I don't think there was a lot of like negative contradictions. I think there was some, but yeah, it seemed like it was pro fasting, and it showed the evidence, and the evidence was that like, oh well, these people fasted and they saw like all these great results.
mm-hmm.
Common sense, guys. Like if you don't eat anything, yeah, you're gonna
Yeah.
lose weight. Yeah, you're gonna have a lower blood sugar. Yeah, you're gonna have um like a lot of people are saying that they have more like mental clarity, which you know, whenever you're not processing food, think about it this way: you go to Wendy's and get a Baconator combo, you're diverting blood from your brain to your GI system to digest that. So when you're not digesting food for the first few days or so, you might feel like you have more mental clarity, but it's because none of your systems are working. So do you think it's healthy that none of your systems are working? And a lot of the danger that comes from fasting comes from when they reintroduce the food. That one guy who had died because um he had fallen and hit his head, he
Hmm.
started reintroducing food. He went into a delirium. And
Yeah.
that's why they sent him to the hotel. He was in a delirious state,
Yeah.
and that's why he had fallen and hidden his head. That's the dangerous part, because his gut system, like, it shut down. It wasn't working. It's almost like if you don't drive your car for a year, you get in, the brakes are going to be rusted, right?
Yeah.
Same exact thing. Like, I can say, oh, I didn't drive my car for a year and I saved so much money on gas. Like, I'm just gonna walk everywhere from now on, because when I don't drive my car, I save money on gas. Yeah,
Yeah.
like, that's true, but it's like a logical, it's very logical. Something There's nothing voodoo about it. So I don't know if that makes sense where I'm kind of coming from, but I just feel like people put all these elaborate terms on, like, oh, like water fasting and intermittent fasting and all this and all that, and it's not that voodoo, guys. Like, two plus two equals four. At the same time, don't get so infatuated with it, because it's actually not the best thing in the world.
Yeah. I mean, your body's not meant to survive without carbs, fats, and proteins. Like, that is
Mm-hmm.
your energy source. And I mean, think about it again, like you're saying, you don't have any food intake. You're not getting any protein, you're not getting any carbs, you're not getting any fiber, nothing. So when you're sitting all day, because these people are in a facility, they're not doing anything. They're just sitting there, laying in bed, whatever, out at the fucking creek. Like, they're not really doing anything. So when they go to stand up, their blood pressure drops and then they faint. I mean, obviously, like, they have no,
Mm-hmm.
not to mention, like, if you don't eat, Joe, your body consumes muscle tissue before fat tissue. And like, just the thought of, like, someone being so sedentary for 30 to 32 days, and like some people have done like 3-month fasts, and you look at them and they're skin and bone because their body is like grabbing onto any available nutrients that have been stored. Really.
Yeah.
It's
Mm-hmm.
not, it's so not good. And I
No.
understand that some people fast for like religious reasons, and I know a lot of people like to intermittent fast. I personally don't. I've never like seen benefit from that, but I'm also someone who, as I've mentioned in the past, I suffer from thyroid issues which obviously comes with, metabolism issues, things like that. So for me personally, this would never work. And I would
Yeah.
listen, like, if I don't have a snack every 2 hours, I am crusty. Like, I eat, and I eat often, and I don't eat a lot, but
Yeah.
I'm that kind of person that's like always snacking throughout the day, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that the big thing this episode misses is just that, like, individualism. Everybody is so different. And they're basically pushing, like, if you have diabetes and high blood pressure and high cholesterol, just go on a water fast. And like, that's not the message they should be fucking conveying, honestly.
Just
Like,
starve yourself. Just starve yourself.
and
Like,
like the thought of going to a third world country to even do this, that's like going
oh, right.
somewhere for surgery because it's cheaper. Like, come on.
And
Like,
I think there's another, like, we're talking about, like, it's not like they're saying it's healthy, and we're saying, well, you know what, that's actually, it's not healthy. It's healthier to do it this way, with proper dieting and stuff. I will
mhm.
say this, to be the devil's advocate. I love Wendy's, and I've mentioned it multiple times this episode, and it's because I haven't had Wendy's in a while because I'm up in Nunavut.
Yo,
And,
you're hurting, eh?
like,
Every
I'm
episode, you're
I'm
like,
hurting.
I need
I'm hurting.
Wendy's.
Okay, I love Wendy's. Okay, like, Wendy's is the best, and the thing is, food is happiness. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
I love food. Like, and not just Wendy's. Like, I love apples. Apples are great. I love proteins. You know what I mean? Like, I love bananas. I love
not the
blueberries.
same.
Blueberries are amazing. Enjoy yourself, guys. Like, love the food. You know what I mean? Blueberries and some honey in the morning. Whew, hits the spot. So good. But if you fast, you miss that. if you fast, you miss your meals, and I don't know if that makes sense, but I don't know. I just really like food, and
Yeah.
I can't see myself like fasting to. And there's a healthy balance too, right? Like there is a healthy balance to loving food a little too much, and then it
Yeah,
becomes
for
very
sure.
unhealthy. But there's balance in life, and you have to enjoy those little things. Because if you don't enjoy those little things, then sometimes we can get so infatuated with our health that we make these decisions. Hey, I'm going to do a water fast, but I just like think logically and what's the best for you in that moment. Hey, maybe for you doing to kickstart your diet with a fast, that might work for you because you need to your body to go without nothing for a little while, then you can reintroduce some healthy foods. Maybe that's it
Mhm.
for you, right? We're not telling you exactly what to do. Everyone's different. But just have critical thinking and don't let people sell you something, because this world is also infatuated with a quick fix, and we fall victim and prey to just people trying to make money.
Yeah. And I think that's like the constant throughout all three of these episodes, Joe. You look at the essential oils and you have an MLM. You look at the breast milk and you have this mom who there's a condition where they overproduce too much milk. And
Yeah.
basically, that one lady was selling her milk because she has this condition. But she mentioned several times that it's a nice income addition. It's a nice addition to her income. And then,
Yeah.
you have this fasting where they have facilities where they're literally like I just don't think I've ever met an MD that would recommend a 30-day fast. Maybe like I've never been to like a holistic doctor, but that's sort of the realm that I would assume that they would recommend. Like I can't imagine like a Western medicine MD recommending a water fast. What do you think? Would
No.
like a holistic
No.
doctor
I
recommend
think
this?
I honestly, if it's a good holistic doctor, and I'm biased obviously, but I would say no. Like I don't think fasting is. And the thing with the fasting episode too is that they didn't talk about other side effects. Like one huge side effects is like gallstones and like kidney stones and stuff like that
Mhm.
when you fast. Um, but yeah, like I never met a doctor that would do it. I read a few books of like those holistic like functional health doctors, and they don't believe in fasting either. They just believe in like eating certain foods.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure, to be honest. Like maybe there's just an area that we haven't seen in regards to that, but I personally haven't met anyone who would say starve yourself.
Right. And it's concerning because like there's these doctors that work at these facilities and nurses that follow the patients and I just one thing we mention over and over on this podcast is the ethical side of nursing and the challenges that we face. We may need to do interventions or treatments that we personally don't feel coincide with our personal ethics. However,
Mm.
as a nurse, you have to separate. And so I just can't imagine like any nurse working at a fasting clinic. Like, I just feel like that's like voodoo medicine. Like, I don't know. Maybe
Hmm.
I'm just being a little
It goes
aggressive,
against
but
everything. Oh no, it
yeah.
goes against everything that we're trained like. And there is like this. So I just use diabetes as an example because it was used in the episode. It's not like we don't know how to treat type 2 diabetes. Like obviously me and and I don't want to make it seem like almost like, oh duh, like you should know how to be able to treat type 2 diabetes. But as
Yeah.
healthcare professionals, like we learn in school and then also in practice and everyday practice, there's guidelines for, hey, like you're diabetic, this is what you should do to, because type 2 diabetes can be reversible depending, right?
Mhm.
um it's not like we're looking for a cure. So then you just say fasting, it's like, well, you could fast, but you could also just do this other thing that's actually proven, right? Like you could do diet and exercise and take care of.
Yeah.
I think mental health is a huge component of it too.
Yeah,
um
for sure. I think that coincides with
and like
any
get
type of disease.
resources.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I honestly I would love to see facilities that, okay, we have facility where you come here, it's kind of like a resort. We have doctors on site. We have healthy options for food. We have 2 times a day exercise. We have psychotherapy. But they
Yeah.
don't, because I doubt that would make as much money as like, oh, like, come here, you're gonna fast, and like it's proven with this and this and all these like fancy terms that they use to lure these vulnerable people into
Yeah.
their care. And that one facility was kind of funny, Leanne. The guy, he was wearing like a nice suit. He was wearing
Yeah.
this beautiful suit, and he was so
Yeah.
about it. I don't think he had any medical experience at all, but
Yeah, he says that
that's
in the
just the
episode.
facade.
He says, "I'm not a doctor by any means, but this is my facility." Like, what?
Yeah. And there was a guy in Puerto Rico who had his facility. He said if God came down to me and said that what I'm doing is wrong, I would laugh in God's face, and it would prove that there's no God, because I believe that this is the best thing that's ever happened. So these people are complete narcissists as well.
Yeah.
Like, it's just
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Yeah. I think, like, again, Joe, I think a part of this whole series is the way that it's filmed. And to regard essential oils, breast milk, fasting, um, those were the only 3 episodes that I saw, but I'd assume the other ones are the same too. But there's like this weird dynamic of the people talking for the product. So the people who are pro essential oil or pro fasting. I don't know. Did you find that when you're
Yeah.
watching this? Like, there's definitely, it's awkward. It's awkward to watch. And I can't put it into words. I can't find the words to describe it. But yeah, there's like this weird
I don't
dynamic in the
know.
filming.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's because that's the way that it's filmed that it comes off this way, but it's almost like these people are infatuated, and like this is like their whole entire life is like this
Yeah.
this one this like this one aspect. And
Hmm.
I don't know, like, if the docu-series is just filmed that way to make it kind of seem like a little extreme, but also it doesn't surprise me um that some of these, especially like the MLM stuff, like multi-level marketing, like people do get
Yeah.
infatuated, and it's not great, like they lose a lot of money, they get screwed over,
Yeah.
and it
I
is
kind
it, it's
of,
it, it is weird. It's a weird
yeah,
side of the world.
it's awkward to watch, but I also kind of feel sympathy for these people in a way. Like, I don't want to sound like an asshole here, but I feel like these people have obviously tried other things and they're kind of like grasping at
Mhm.
ends at this point, it feels like. I mean,
Mm,
obviously, they only share so much of their story, but the lady with diabetes who's doing the fasting, it's like her mom had cancer and her sister had cancer, and, you know, her other sister died, and, they do like a little backstory on her, and it
yeah.
she seems like she's just grasping for anything to help at this point. And like
Mm,
a part of that, like the caring side of me is like, that's really sad that you feel you have no other options than to go to this stupid facility to fast,
yeah. Honestly,
and I
the nurse side of me too, Leanne, I get angry. It actually pisses me off that
yeah.
like she's vulnerable, and these people are like making a profit off her. Like, I almost just like, and obviously, like, we don't want to like pity people, because that's not helpful either,
No,
right? Like, when
of
we like
course
pity
not.
people. But I think I wish these people could see their value regardless of how they look, who they are, and saying, like, you can get help, and it doesn't have to be help that's manipulated. And it is sad that they have to go to that place to feel anything, right? Like, to feel like
Right.
they can make a change. So
Yeah,
I
and
totally hear you on that.
the thing is too is like, maybe she's tried all these things, but nothing worked because she hasn't had the support systems to help her with diet, to help her with exercise, to help her with, medication management, all these things. And, there's just like more to the story. And I've always been the kind of nurse that's like, I want the whole picture of somebody before we can like move forward kind of thing. But yeah, I
Yeah.
just kind of, I don't pity them. It makes me sad that they don't necessarily maybe have the support that they feel they should have had, and they need to turn to these alternative measures, I guess.
100%. Yeah, I'm a firm believer that everyone deserves a chance in life, and everyone deserves, the chance to be loved and to be cared for.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, that's honestly what it comes down to, a lot. Like when you get these vulnerable populations, and also like let's not be biased here. I guess in some sense, it does provide people a chance to feel that, like they can feel it through getting involved in like MLM, or like get involved with essential
Yeah.
oils or like whatever. At the same time, the thing that I'm identifying is that most of these people have the potential of getting screwed over by it, and that's where I don't think it's okay. Like
Mm-hmm.
a lot of these health gurus, they're not looking at science. When you bring your sick kid in and you're saying he has cancer, and you're at your last straw because the kid that you spent your whole entire life with is now has cancer, you bring
Mm-hmm.
him to this voodoo person who's saying, "Oh, the health system doesn't work. The health system doesn't do this, but I have a milkshake that I make in my basement that like will really help if he takes them 3 times a day." There's no science, there's no proof,
Yeah.
there's nothing that shows that the milkshake is going to do anything. And then, that kid ends up dying because they didn't get the care that they actually needed. And
Yep.
the reason why I use that example is that there's multiple stories of that in all over, of like these voodoo people saying, "Oh, like drink this shake and do this," and then someone ends up
Yep.
dying. We need to look at like critical, and yeah, I can go on all day because it
Yeah.
upsets me, to be honest. Like what you're saying, like it's not okay.
Yeah. Just to add to that, Joe, excuse me. I think what you're sort of getting at, and what I see a trend of in these episodes as well, is people searching for a sense of community. And so when they go to, this facility, they're around other people that have had similar experiences, or they're a part of an MLM, so they have those new connections with other moms or other people who are selling, or whatever the case is, and it's just kind of, it's sad because I feel like people are looking for that support, that community that they like, that that they maybe can't reach in through other methods. And so
Mm,
I
yeah,
definitely think there's some gaps in terms of Western medicine as well in mental health. And I think we've come a long way, but I think, I look at these people, and I there's just something tinkling inside me. Like, I know that something might be off in terms of the mental health, but
yeah,
um I mean, it's hard to
that's
say.
so
Like,
important.
yeah, it's hard to say with what they give us in the episodes, but anyway, I think overall people need to watch this series. This is
I
just like,
agree.
I'm flabbergasted. Like, I literally was sitting watching the TV with my mouth wide open.
Yo, literally, just jaw
Yeah.
dropped the whole entire time.
Yeah. Like, I don't know. I don't think
What made
anybody
me drop my jaw is the attitude on the people who were for whatever the episode was about. Like there's a lot of narcissistic behavior, and these people seem like it's like, if you don't do this, then like you're wrong. Like if you don't do this, then like
Yeah.
you're not healthy, and like you're just like whatever.
You're
And
doing it all wrong. Yeah, yeah,
yeah, right. Like you're not drinking essential oils 3 times a day. Like, hey, okay, like
yeah.
you're doing it wrong.
Come on, Joe, step up.
I know, I know. I've just been smelling my essential oils. I didn't know you had to drink them too. Like, damn.
Oh my god, do not put that shit in your body. Jesus.
No, see, that's one area that I'm not curious about. Okay, breast milk maybe, but like essential oils, hell nah.
In a couple years we'll have Joe report back to follow up on this episode and see how his taste testing went.
And honestly, like it's not like a weird thing. I don't think it's weird. I think it's like a curiosity thing. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. I
and like,
I don't know. I'm weird about it. I don't It's weird.
and hey, like honestly, I agree with you. It is weird. You know what I mean? But there's just like a little bit of a curiosity to it. Like, you don't chug it by gallons. And like I've known a lot of dudes that's tried it before too. Like just like with their wife.
Weird. Definitely weird.
It's like one of those things you just gotta try.
Oh
Okay, I
boy.
want to end the episode on this.
Okay.
there's this game that you can play. You can play with anything, but I forget what it's called. I was hanging with some people and we were doing it one night. We were having dinner, and you say, "What are the odds?" Like Leanne, like what are the odds that you would like take a shot of ketchup and vinegar? Something random. It can be
Okay.
anything. And you say, well, the odds are, let's say if you really don't want to do, you say the odds are 1 in 100. So then someone would count us down. And at the countdown, we would both say a number at the same time. If we say the same number, like if the number you say and the number I say are the same, then you have to do it. If it's not the same, then the other person doing it has to do it. If that makes sense.
Like you guys would say a number between 1 and 10 though? Or like 1 in 100?
It depends on like the odds. So like if you're saying
Okay.
the odds that you do that is like you wouldn't mind doing it, like you would say 1 out of 2. So then there's only 2 options to choose from.
Right.
So we would go 3, 2, 1, and
Yeah.
then we would both say a number. And if it's the same number, then you have to do it. If not, then the person who challenged you has to do it.
I gotta give this a whirl. This
It
sounds
is
good.
it is fun. Like, and if you have fun friends, like we had one, like there was people celebrating a birthday and they were like, Joe, what are the odds that you would go like sing him happy birthday? And I lost and I had to go sing this guy happy birthday like at Boston Pizza. Like I just walked over, I'm like, hey bro, can I sing happy birthday? And they were really cool about it. We sang happy birthday. So it's kind of like a fun game. So if you guys
Yeah.
listening like want to try that too, honestly it's super cool.
Yeah, that's definitely like a good note to end on too. After these like wild, crazy episodes that we've been talking about this like random documentary series.
Leanne, what are the odds that you drink breast milk?
Yo, 1 in 9 million trillion bazillion. Never. All right, guys. Thanks for listening. As always, don't forget to share any feedback on Instagram, and we do appreciate all the new followers that we have. But yeah, I think we've well rounded up our Unwell documentary series on Netflix, and we'll be back next week with some fresh new episodes.
Thanks for tuning in, guys. Peace.
Bye, guys.